Howdy, y'all. Oh, man. Bob Hiltebridle got me right at the end, just as the intro ended. Yeah. This is what I mean when I say Bob is the poster of all things rude, crude, socially unacceptable, also known as just flat out funny. Bob, you're a gem. And to be honest, I don't know, when it comes to using music in videos and what have you, I'm kind of a country slash folk slash I don't know, kind of not quite easy listening or yacht rock, but kind of a calm and mellow music type of a guy. And that was the only one that I found that was right around 5 minutes long to use for the countdown timer. So, well, anyway, welcome to the Sunday Live Q&A, and off to a rip-roaring start, I see. No video this morning as per norm. There will be a video out next week. I'm not exactly certain what that video is going to be on. I've got two contenders. It's just going to depend on which one I get done first. But this is open Q&A. If you've got any questions, concerns, comments, what have you, demands for payment, throw it in the chat and we'll get to it as we can. I hope I can help you out, not guaranteeing, but because I'm not an expert. But let's see here. Michael Mazalik has one that's kind of inside baseball here. Is the intro pre-recorded? The short answer is yes, it's pre-recorded. Or are you talking live? Can't tell if it's the same each week. Could be, maybe not. Inquiring minds need to know. Yes, it is pre-recorded. I did that. I don't like countdown timers. I'm not a fan of them. I never have liked them. But I know a few people who've used countdown timers, and they said it has helped them out a lot, cut down on the number of complaints they got about not getting notifications and, joining late simply because they didn't know that the person had gone live. So one guy switched over to a 10-minute timer, which I think is too long, way too long. And another one who went with a 5-minute timer, and that worked out very well for him. It gives YouTube time to send out the notifications and people to get the notifications, and then for them to get over here before we start doing whatever it is we're doing. And but I've taken it a step further in that I don't like countdown timers. So what I do is, after the live stream is over, the first thing I do is I go in and I add the links that I talk about during the stream. And then I go into YouTube's little editor and I edit out that countdown timer. So if you come along on replay to watch the live Q&A, that countdown timer is gone. It's not there. It just opens up to me saying hello and what have you. It's just one more step. It's a necessary evil, but I've noticed I get a lot fewer comments about, I didn't know you were going live. Although between you and me, I go live every Sunday at the same time. It doesn't change. So, but hey, what can you say? But yeah, that's more than you want to know, Michael. It is pre-recorded, and I don't know. I'm going to look for other music and maybe do something different. Kind of try to, pick up the mood a little bit. I chose that one, like I said, because it was 5 minutes long, and it was royalty free, no copyright strikes, and I don't know. Sunday is kind of a mellow day for me. I take the day off. I don't do anything in the yard. That doesn't mean I sit around on my hind parts. I have other stuff I have to do and do a lot of admin. But anyway, so let's see. How about a polka? Find me one that's 5 minutes long. I mean, I'm open for suggestions. Maybe I should swap out the intro every week. I don't know. I get my wife to play the bagpipes. Nobody wants that. Okay, let's see. And that's not to say she can't play. It's just to say that bagpipes, Before I get into the questions that you are putting into the chat right now, I got a question via email from, see, are you still here? Yes, you are, Steve Russell. He sent me an email asking about mortise and tenons. And his basic premise is he's building a box that he's going to be using mortise and tenon joints on. And he knows it would be faster and to use saws and drills and chisels and what have you. But he wants to do them on the CNC just because he's never done them before. And that's legit. I mean, it's something that needs to be explored. And it's fun to explore. But he wants to know the tenon is going to be about a ½ inch or a little over 12 millimeters long, and about ½ inch or a little over 12 millimeters wide, and about a ¼ inch, a little over 6 millimeters thick. And he wants to know, should he size the mortise and tenon the same size, or should he expand either overcut the mortise a little bit to allow for glue, or make the tenon slightly smaller? And that's a legit concern, because there's a few things that you need to take into consideration when you're doing something like that. The mortise and tenon joint does need to be tight, but if you have ever drilled a ¼ inch hole and tried to put something a ¼ inch diameter into it, you know that they don't fit without a press, simply because they're the same size. There has to be a little bit of give in there. Either the hole has to be slightly oversized, or in the case of a wooden dowel, the wooden dowel is usually cut undersized. Now, normally what you do is you overcut the mortise just slightly, just a little bit, and then trial and test fit if you're doing them by hand. When you're going to do this on a CNC, and I'm I see all the stuff going on in the chat over there. When you're doing this on the CNC, and Steve, you're probably not going to want to hear this, but you're going to have to do some experimentation, mainly because there is no magic answer. Your question was, should I run the mortise up to about 0.26 or 0.27 wide, meaning adding 10 to 20 thousandths? And that might work. But you're going to have to experiment, preferably with a scrap or a piece you can afford to throw away of the material that you're going to be using, because there isn't really a magic number. I can't say give it 10 thousandths or 20 thousandths of clearance there, because, and you've got not only trying to fit the tenon into the mortise, but you also have to be concerned with the wood swelling, because just the moisture from the glue by itself is going to cause that wood to swell. So 20 thousandths may be enough. Then again, it might not be. And so, and it doesn't take very long for that to swell just enough to where you can't get that tenon into that mortise. So you're going to have to experiment a little bit and see what's right for you with that material. because maple is going to be different than birch, which is going to be different from ash, which is going to be different from mahogany or sapele or whatever you're using. Not only that, some woods have different densities. I mean, I've had maple change densities in the same foot-long piece. So it's going to take a little bit of finessing. Now, what I normally do with mortise and tenon joints is I will cut the mortise and then I size the tenon to the mortise. Other people I know like to size the mortise to the tenon. I find it easier to use a sanding block for real fine adjustments, or a small little block plane to kind of shave a little bit off of the mortise, maybe a chisel or maybe even X-Acto knife, and to where it slips in nice and firmly, but so you don't want it loose, obviously, but you don't want it so tight that you can't get the ding dong thing together. So it is, basically what it is. I can't give you a magic number. I can't say that 10 or 20 thousandths would be enough, and I can't say it won't be too much. I personally would, I'd probably try 10 thousandths and then fine tune by hand from there. And it's up to you as to whether you want to make the mortise slightly undersized or you want to make the tenon slightly oversized. But you're right, it does need a little bit of a clearance in there to allow for the wood swelling just from the moisture of the glue itself. So I hope that answers the question. So, and oh boy, we have a bunch going on here. Yeah. Music will be bagpipes. I'm his wife. I get the deciding vote. Well, most times, yes. A lot of behind the scenes this week. Longtime subscriber and huge friend of this channel is a gentleman by the name of Sargon Tavor, and he got a hold of me last. Well, that's been a couple weeks back now. Evidently, his company has been retiring desktop computers and giving the employees laptops. He got a hold of me and said, we got these desktop computers. Could you use one? And of course, me complaining about this weak, squeaky desktop computer that I had here. Sure. So an arrangement was made, and he shipped me up the computer that I am using right now. And let me tell you what, this thing is light years better than what I was using before. And I'm here to tell you, let me give you a little example here. I'll push the button right now. And we're screen sharing. See how fast that was? I mean, that would not have happened on the other one. It took several seconds. So, Sargon, you are another inside baseball thing here. You are channel member number 1, as you wanted to be. If you notice right there at the end of his name, he has that S right there. I had to activate channel memberships last night to be able to post the announcement, which goes live right after this live stream. And he said, I want to be number 1. So, Sargon, welcome aboard as the very first channel member of Mark Lindsay CNC. And thank you immensely. I mean, this is just, I'm in hog heaven right now. This is really cool. Well, hey, sir, you just don't know how appreciative I am for this. Okay, let's see. Let's get to your questions now. Norm Peterson, it's not really a question. He says, just wanted to put out this information to help me. I've had 2 routers quit in the last year. Changing brushes didn't repair them. took them apart and polished the armature, fixed them both. I have said several times, specifically talking about Porter cable routers, that if you blow them out with the air hose after you're finished with them and change the brushes as needed, they will outlive all of us. And I stand by that statement because these things are workhorses. And occasionally you may have to replace a bearing. I've got a sander I need to replace a bearing on. I got to go get a bearing separator because I can't find mine. But you might have to replace a bearing every once in a while. But taking that armature out, and I've seen people use everything from Scotch-Brite pads to like 1000 grit sandpaper to clean up the armature, especially the contacts where the brushes are going to ride. Personally, I've always used an eraser, just one of those pink gummy, well, I don't know if it's a gum eraser or the pink rubber erasers you would use, for pencil. Just take one of those and get rid of the schmutz off of it there. Generally, that's enough to clean it up and get it running again. Now, I don't know, Norm didn't say what he used. He just said that he cleaned up the armature, and that worked for him. But yeah, there are always, let's see here. Now he just said he took them apart and polished the armature. But yeah, you get all the gunk down in there because it's blowing out the bottom, but it's sucking in through the top. So all of that dust, as well as, especially if you're do a lot of work with softwoods, the resins and the pitch, a lot of that, when it gets heated up, it vaporizes, and it's also on that dust. So as it gets sucked down into the router, it's going to start caking stuff up. And that's why I blow it out with the air hose every time I use it. And I'll blow it out statically without it running, and just to get all the main part of the dust out. Then I'll turn it on and blow it out some more through the top. You shut it off, blow it out bottom and top and everything, and then also wipe out the taper. I always pull the collet because and take the bit out of the collet, because those very same resins, you let it sit there, it can basically cement that bit into the collet, or remove cement the collet and the collet nut to that router taper. So yeah, good, excellent point. Let's see. Malcolm Temporal wants to know, could you tell when you are cutting a job out, which tool path do you use? They're no in Cyprus. I don't know, and I don't understand what that part means, but cutting a job out, if I'm just cutting the outline, I use a profile tool path with the depth of cut, with the the cut depth set to the thickness of the material, plus about 5/1000ths of an inch. So let's see, what would that be in millimeters? That would be 0.005. That'd be about 1/8 of a millimeter, 0.127 of a millimeter. So just slowly, creeping just a little bit past the thickness of the material to make sure it cuts all the way through. So hope that answers that question. Okay, Norman said he cleaned it with 2000 grit paper. Okay, yeah, I've heard of people going, up to 4000 or 2500, something like that, anytime. But I've just used a pencil eraser. So Lewis Denton wants to know, is there a solvent you can use to clean the collet socket and collets? it depends on what I'm doing. If I need to use it like right now, I will use VM&P naphtha. And that is, or sometimes even acetone, just to clean it out and get it back into use. If I don't need it right now, I'll spray it with oven cleaner, put it in a plastic bag and seal that plastic bag and let it sit overnight. Then the next day I can take it out, run it under the sink, under the faucet in the sink, and scrub it with a nylon brush. And I do the same with the bits. Takes the paint off, but I don't care about the paint. Oven cleaner can harm some of the coatings. So if you have, titanium nitride coatings on some of these bits, I know a lot of people are going with that kind of a coating. It can damage that coating, so don't use oven cleaner on those bits. But if it's just a straight standard carbide tipped or solid carbide bits, oven cleaner does work. But if I need it in a hurry, I'll scrub it with using a VM&P naphtha and use a nylon, like a real stiff toothbrush, and scrub it like that. And I do the same with bits. So, okay, let's see here. Let's get back to the questions that we had up here above. Dabu Bear wants to know, is there an easy way to do text over text without layers? The short answer is no. Layers are your friend. Don't be afraid of layers. You're in control. And it's why I suggest that you color the vectors on each layer a different color so you can spot easily what's going on. Now, I'm sure you can do it without layers, but you said easy way. The easy way is to use layers. And, it's very simple. Get into the layer manager, top text, bottom text, V-carve if it's applicable, and then profile cutout. And associate those layers with the toolpath and use that to create a template. I mean, I'll put a link to my video on stacked text down in the description of this video as soon as we're done here. And just wrote myself a note to do so. I get in and experiment with the layers. At first, it might be confusing, but you will get used to it very quickly. And they're there to help. And believe me, I use layers a lot more than I thought I would. And it's the same with the new Sheets features in version 11 and up. I never thought I would use it, and I use it all the time now. So, let's see here. Bob Helter Bridal says, I use Hornaday one-shot gun cleaner. It's dry loop. Yeah. There is also a product out there. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what it's called. I want to say it's called Call It Care, but I may be wrong on that. It's a cleaner and lubricant as well. And but it's kind of pricey, and I'm just Scottish enough to where I don't buy that. I just use either the naphtha or the oven cleaner. Okay, Roger the Tinker says Simply Green works. Yes, it does. Anything that's going to cut through that the resins and pitches and all the yuck from the wood that we're cutting into and cutting through. And if you do a lot of MDF or plywood, there's also glue residue in there. Now, it might be just a little bit, but if you look at the tip of your bits, if you look at your bits where it's been cutting through that adhesive layer in plywood, you can see the buildup. It's there. So I clean my bits. Michael Mazalik says table saw blade cleaner. Yeah, but I use oven cleaner on the table saw blades too. So you can't tell what brand they are because it takes the paint off, but I don't care about that. So Okay, let's see here. Bob Helter says, can you explain the 3 different Z gaps in a spire? Clearance, plunge, and Z gap above material. Yes, I can. Let me screen share again. And we'll get over here, and Bob is talking about, over here in the Toolpath tab, go into Material Setup, and he's talking about these Z gaps right here. Okay, if you look up here, clearance, you have Z1. And what Z1 is, that is the clearance above the material that your bit, when it completes a cut, for example, it's going to lift up above the surface of the material and then move over to the next place to plunge in and make the carve. That is Z1. Anytime that bit is making a rapid move across your material, that is your Z1. It's also known as safe Z. This is where you get in and you change that setting if you want it to lift up and clear a clamp or a fixture or some other work holding technique. If you're concerned about that, this is where you set that safe Z. Having said that, do know that it's going to use that safe Z setting all the time for this particular tool path. So if you set it to clear, if you set it to 2 inches above your material to clear a clamp in one corner, it's going to use that 2 inches for the entire setup, the entire tool path. So, there's trade-offs there. I usually keep mine set at just slightly under 1/4 of an inch. That's enough to lift up and move over and not drag on something accidentally. Okay, so that's Z1 clearance. Z2 plunge. What this is, and we're talking right down here, is when your bit is coming down to get ready to plunge into the material, the bit is going to come down at the machine's rapid rate for the Z until it gets to this point, which in my case, it's at 0.2 above the surface of the material. Then it's going to slow down to the plunge rate that you have set for that tool path. So if I have, like on my Gatton CNC, my plunge rate, rapid plunge rate for my Z is 120 inches a minute. It's going to come down at 120 inches a minute until it gets close to 0.2 above the material. Then it's going to slow down to the plunge rate for that tool path. So if I have a plunge rate of 30 inches per minute set for a particular tool, it'll slow down to that plunge rate. So that's what Z2 is. The home start position, Z gap above material. This is the position that the bit is going to go to when you first start the tool path, and where it's going to go to when the tool path is finished. So you clamp down your material, you set your XYZ0 wherever that may be. Let's just say for giggles, it's in the center of the material. No matter where that bit is, it's going to move over to that XY0 in the center of your material. And in this case, it's going to be 0.8 inches above the material. So it will, if it has to lift up, it'll lift up to get to that 0.8 inches above the material. Then it'll move over to its first position where it's going to make a cut, plunge in, do the cut out the whole project, do whatever. And when that G-code is finished running, it's going to lift up to that 0.8 inches and then move back over to wherever you set your X0, Y0. So that's what that is. That is your home start position. So we have Z1 clearance, which is a safe Z, Z2 clearance, which is where it stops moving at its rapid rate and then goes in at the plunge rate of that bit. And then you have the Z gap above material, which is the home position, home start position. So hope that clears that up. Hope that answers that question. Did it there, Bob? All right, let's see. Let's get to the next question here. Is Mario Montoya says, working on an inlay design with one female base and 3 different male inserts of 3 different species, looking for an efficient strategy. Any suggestions? None whatsoever. I have not gotten into my first inlay yet. That's something I want to change this year. I don't know if you are going to be doing a V inlay or if you're going to be using the what is it called? The inlay, create inlay toolpath. Personally, I'm a big fan of the V inlays from what I have seen. And that is a subject of its own. About the only thing I can say as an efficient strategy would be to cut them one at a time. And what I mean is 3 different species, because they're all going to react differently. And this is especially true if they're very close together. And some of these things just take time. I would go for the largest one first and get that done, and then go for the smaller detail pieces afterwards. Other than that, I am really no help. But if we have any inlay experts in the house and you have any tips for Mario, they would be greatly appreciated for sure. So I'm going to have to really claim ignorance on that, simply because I'm not really certain. Okay, it said V inlay. There is, I don't know if you watched last year's user group meeting or not. I'm going to butcher his name. There's a gentleman by the name of, I want to say Stephen Forsyth. I will link his YouTube channel in the description here as soon as we're finished live. This guy does some absolutely amazing inlays, and he is not afraid to share the secrets and the tips and tricks. Let's see, I'm writing myself a note for, he did a presentation a couple of years ago for Vectric user group meeting, and he's got some excellent videos on the V inlay technique. And basically, I would, number one, I would subscribe to his channel. Number two, I would binge watch everything he's got, because, as I said, he not only shows the inlay like some other channels like MTM Wood or Broin Wood or any of those, he actually does the research and does the heavy lifting and shows you and tells you and explains along the way what he's doing. And he's an excellent source. So that would be my go-to person. So excuse me, doing the springtime thing here, and oh my gosh. Okay, Michael Mazog says your suggestions are well said. Okay, I don't know what that's in reference to, but thank you, Michael. I think it was in reference to cutting the larger one larger inlay first and get that out of the way. So, okay, wish I could be more help to you, Mario. Maybe a little bit down the road, because as I said, that is something that I have wanted to do for a long, long time. And one of the reasons I got into CNC to begin with. So, okay, let's see. Lewis Denton says, tiling a 6-foot sign. You're a braver man than I am, Gunga Dan. I designed it along the y-axis, going to change to the x-axis. I think you mean the x-axis. What do I have to do to design to make this change? What happens to the home position? Basically, you're going to have to rotate everything that 90 degrees. And I did a video on this, believe it or not. Axis rotation. But before I link it, let me review it because I want to make sure that I did cover this in there. Basically, you will have to rotate everything 90 degrees, obviously recalculate any tool path, and it shouldn't change the home position at all. The only thing is if you, let's say, let me find something here. Let's say you have it oriented like this, and you have tool paths calculated and everything, and your, let me do this backwards for the camera here. Your XYZ0 is the bottom left corner, and then you rotate it, it's still going to be the bottom left corner. It's just now it'll be on the top or on the bottom of the piece of material, top edge or bottom edge of the piece of material. I will go ahead and link, I'm going to review that video first to make sure I talked about things that I think I talked about in that video. And if so, I'll link it in the description here. But basically you will have to, my suggestion is don't tool path it until you do that rotation. But everything has to be rotated and then oriented back on the material to change the orientation of it. And then for the material, you just go back into job setup and change your width to your height and your height to your width, and it'll has the effect of rotating that piece of material. So I hope that answered that. It's not difficult to do. I've done it. It's you know, my first CNC router was oriented to where my x-axis was the long axis and the gantry moved back and forth on the x-axis, and my router moved across the face of the gantry in the y direction. So everything I designed in VCarve, I would design the way I do now, but then before I calculated any tool paths, I'd have to rotate everything 90 degrees to make sure that the long axis was the right way in the software before I calculated any tool paths. It's easier to design it with everything face up and you can read all the text and you get everything placed than rotate everything 90 degrees, then calculate the tool paths. So Michael Mazalik says, do you need to change the size of your workspace? If you're talking about in rotation, it depends on how you set it up. If you're using a half sheet of plywood, you probably won't have to. Or if the material size is square or round, you don't have to. Perfect circle, that is. But if you're talking about anything that is rectangular or triangular, yes, you will have to change the size or rotate the size. So let's see. Russell Faraday has a tip here. I've done a few multiple inlays. I always cut all the male parts first. When you cut which female depends a lot on the individual project. Now, let me ask you this about that, Russell. Have you had any issue with those male parts warping or bending or twisting, or is that an issue? If you cut all of them at first, I would imagine some of them are going to have to sit and wait before they're installed. But have you had any deformities come up that would prevent you from getting a good inlay? Because I've heard of people doing that, but it doesn't seem to be very popular. So I don't know, just asking. Maybe that was a dumb question. Let's see. Peter Van Vliet wants to know, is your work table set up to hold a workpiece vertically? No, it's not. If so, for what kind of projects? No, that is set up, that cutout you see right there is set up to mount my rotary axis, which I don't use as much as I thought I would. In hindsight, I would have never put that there. I should have never done it. It's just I wanted more Z height to be able to clamp a 6-inch diameter piece in the chuck, and it's just totally not necessary. I don't use it. So I would not have done that. But no, I don't have any vertical work holding capability right now. But never say never. I mean, that may be coming down the line. I just don't know yet. So let's see. Here, and jump back over to live comments and see here what we've got going. I know Russell may still be typing. Let's see. Bob Helterbridle says, I use location pins to slide the project on the table and relocate. Are you talking about tiling? I don't know. I've yet to do tiling, and I've got a lot of people asking me for videos on tiling. I just haven't done it yet, but I will get there, honest. Okay, John Thompson says, was trying to cut out a 3D project, and when I hit the profile in Toolpath, it kept saying no vector selected. Do I have to trace the exterior of the project? I forget. Yes, you do. Let me go back over here to, oops, wrong button, Mark. Go back over here to Aspire, get back over in this area, down in the modeling tab. You'll have your 3D model out here. It's this icon right there, create a vector boundary around the selected component. Now you can use that vector boundary, or you can offset it outwards or inwards, depending upon the project. But yes, if you are going to be cutting the profile, you have to have that vector around it. So unless, of course, it's, you know, in part of something else. So, oops. All righty, let me get back down here. Come on, get my cursor over here. All right, there we go. So let's see here. Okay, yes, Bob was talking about tiling. Yeah, I haven't done a tiling video yet. I will, I just haven't gotten it done. So let's cruise up here and take a little bit of a look. Wade says, your shop looks beautiful. Well, thank you. It's a absolute mess. I have discovered that I have the most problem with getting boxes out of here. Because, I mean, I had the vacuum cleaner box for the shop vac. I had the box for the dust collector. I've had, I mean, just you name it. I need a shed to put the stuff that I'm using to build my shed. Okay, looks like we've got all of the questions taken care of. Did I get everybody? Okay, Roger Tinker says, see the dust collector is going together. It's coming together, yes. I need a couple of more little fiddly bits. And then I'm kind of dragging my feet a little bit on it because I'm down to the point to where I got to start cutting metal pipe, the duct work. And I'm just not in a big hurry to do that. But I've got to get it done. But other things have taken precedence. I'm going to get back onto it this week and finally get it going. Let's see here. Let's see. Steve Russell says, I have a project that is two-sided and has to be tiled on both sides. Wow. Designed, but not on the machine yet. Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, boy. Let's see. Sargon, member number 1, says, I thought the dust collection was going outside. Yes, that's one of the things going on behind the scenes is I'm plotting and planning how to add the lean-to onto the back. I'm not quite ready to start buying the materials yet, but I'm getting close. So he also says that motor is really noisy. Yes, it is, but believe me when I say it is a lot quieter than that 6-horse shop vacuum. So yeah, it's much quieter. John also brings an excellent point, and I thank you for the reminder. Just wrote a note to myself. Peter Pasuelo has an excellent video on tiling over on his channel, CNC Nuts. And believe me when I say it's a good video. If you are not subscribed to Peter Pasuelo's channel, you're doing yourself a disservice. Do yourself a favor and get over there and subscribe to his channel, then binge watch him as well. He's got a lot of good information, and he has a lot of videos up. Some of them you wouldn't think you'd be interested in, but I almost always pick out something that I didn't know, or pick out a piece of wisdom from his videos that I had never considered. So he's well worth watch, and he's well worth subscribing to. So yes, thank you, John, for that reminder. Okay, let's see here. George Ashley says, I'm trying to figure out how to place certain 1/8 inch holes on my piece. How do I set the measurements up in different places? What software are you using? And that makes a big difference, because each software is going to be a little bit different. I know the Vectric software, but that's the only software I know. So Rob Sandstrom over at Generations Custom Creations did a video with Laguna and one on my own channel about tiling. Okay, so I'll put down Rob as well as Peter, and I'll go find those videos, Rob. And okay, he says he was tiling to create a long sign. Okay, I will link your video as well. And get over and subscribe to Rob's channel, Generations Custom Creations. He does some excellent work over there, and he's got a lot of knowledge to share. Okay, George is saying he works with Carbide Create. I'm going to have to claim ignorance on that. What I would do is I would get over on their support forum and post your question over there, because I do not know Carbide Create. I really don't know. I've never used it. So, okay, I'm going to spend like the last 10 minutes doing some more behind the scenes and inside baseball thing. Here talking about some stuff going on with the channel and stuff going on just in life. In general, let's see, I got to find it. And okay, Bob Helter Bridal says, okay, I missed it. How do I become a channel member? Channel memberships, I had to activate it last night so that I could do a few things as kind of a preparatory strike to launching channel memberships. Technically, it goes live on June 1st. I did that because I couldn't find a definitive answer on whether or not YouTube/Google would charge for the month of May if I started it before, say, the 27th, 28th, 29th. I could not find a definitive answer. And I didn't want anybody joining up in the month of May getting charged for the month of May when my perks weren't ready to go. So technically, channel memberships start June 1st. The easy way to find more information is if you look down right next to the subscribe button or the subscribed notification, you'll see a button that says join. If you click that, it'll open up a little panel in front of the video. Another video will run of me sitting in here explaining it, and it'll show you the two levels. Without going too deeply into it, there are two levels of channel membership. One is the channel supporter, and the other is big time supporter. The main perks for all channel members are members only live streams that will happen on Monday evenings every week, starting at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, and going until whenever. My Sunday live Q&As I limit to 1 hour. The members only live streams will be unregulated. If we go an hour, we go an hour. If we go 4 hours, we go 4 hours. It's going to be a way to do deeper dives into topics that will not get rushed. It's going to be 100% member driven, meaning members will have to, or I'll be polling members to find out what you want me to talk about. Big time supporters, the top level, will also be able to join me for the live stream here on camera, and we can talk problems, we can talk techniques, we can work on solutions. It will be member driven. It's your forum. There will also, everybody also gets access to members only community posts, channel badges such as Sargon's over here. And these channel badges are color coded. I'm outlining it with my cursor, like you can see it. Channel badges are color coded, so based on how long you've been a member. And I know a few people have already clicked the little button and taken a look. Let's talk about pricing. I know it looks expensive. I did that for a reason, and that was to weed out the trolls. I agonized over that. I really did, and that's what kept me from doing it for a long time. I have talked to other YouTubers who have channel memberships activated, and they went with some very low pricing and immediately got swarmed by spammers and trolls, because a spammer or a troll will go ahead and spend a couple of dollars a month to spam their wares all over members only live streams and members only videos and things like that. They don't care. But they found a limit. They have found a limit that basically they're not willing to spend to create havoc and spread hate and discontent. So I priced accordingly. So that's why it looks a little bit pricey, and that is to weed out the people who are not interested in this, the people who are just out to be trolls or spammers. So you are under no obligation to become a channel member. Channel membership can be canceled, upgraded, downgraded at any time. So it's just a way. I didn't want to talk about it this way, but I've been asked a lot about how come I don't have a Patreon? Why don't you have a Patreon page? And I just don't like the idea of Patreon. I just don't. But people keep asking me about it and keep asking me about it. So I said, okay, if you want a way to donate to the channel, let's do channel memberships. But in exchange for that, I've got to give you value. So the only thing I have to share of myself is more time. So let's do a live stream, and we'll do it every week on Monday. And so there is that option. So Enough said about that. If you want more information on becoming a channel member, click that join button. It doesn't mean you paid anything. Just click the join button and it'll give you all of the specifics on what channel membership is, how to do it, and the pricing and all that. The other thing I need to talk about is Russell Faraday says, will members be able to view the videos recorded as well as live? I will not be able to do members only videos because I just simply for time. That's why I can do a live stream, but I can't do pre-recorded videos. Nothing on my channel will change to the general public. I'm still going to continue to post on the same schedule and we'll still have these live Q&As. The members only live streams are an extra added thing for those who want to donate on a recurring monthly basis. So, but nothing else is going to change. You're not getting rid of me that easily. You know, I'm still the same idiot. So, the other thing that I need to talk about, and it pains me to say it, in fact, it sickens me to say it, but circumstances have required that I withdraw from attending the user group meeting in San Diego this year. So I will not be there. I will not be able to attend. I've been looking forward to this for 2 years, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. Things have piled up and jammed up to where I simply cannot do it. There's been health reasons, which are now taken care of, but there's been other reasons and other things going on in the background. So I'm going to have to withdraw. I've already spoken with the folks at Vectric, and they're disappointed as well. I'm more or less heartbroken over it because, like I said, I've been waiting 2 years to do this, but it's just not going to happen this year. There is always 2023. I will not discount that, but it's just not going to be able to happen this year. So I'm sorry to the folks who have been looking forward to being there and looking forward to getting together and finally meeting face to face. But you know, there will be other events and there will be other times. And like I said, I'm not ruling 2023 out. It's going to depend on where it is, actually. You know, if it's in like Nassau, Bahamas, I can't afford that. So, you know, but if it's something reasonable, you know, we'll, you know, keep our ear to the ground. But again, there's nothing anybody can do about it. It is what it is. And that's all part of life. We got to deal with it, because life is what happens while you're busy making other plans, you know. So having said all of that, we'll go ahead and wrap up for the for this week. I will have a video next week. I'm not 100% certain what it's going to be. Like I say, I've got a couple of things going on in the background. It's going to depend on which one of them gets done first, and we will go from there. Also, some big doings are coming up for the channel. More on that later. This will be on the free side. It's not on the members only side. The first members only live stream will be June 6th, Monday, June. Let me make sure of that date here. Yes, Monday, June 6th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I know that's going to be in the middle of the night for folks over in the UK. I apologize. You will be able to see that on replay if you are a member. Just won't be able to join live, and I'm sorry for that. But Steve Russell has basically my closing statement for today. And that is that, yes, it's a long weekend. For those of you over in the UK, this is Memorial Day weekend. For us, it is the closest thing I can find in the UK is it's very similar to Remembrance Day, in that we remember and memorialize those who didn't come home and who paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we could enjoy the life that we're having. It's not just barbecue day. It's not just party day. Yes, do barbecue. Yes, do party. But take a moment to remember why you can do that. And let's all be safe, and let's all be back next weekend. So, yeah, on that somber note, let's go ahead and end this one. And I will see you next week after a video, and channel announcement video will be coming up in about 15 minutes from now. It's scheduled to go live. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for all the views, the shares, the comments, the questions, the answers, all the donations, all the super chats. You guys are just absolutely the greatest viewers a person could ever have. And until next week, y'all take care. Thank you.